Now we're going to get technical and talk about how to master anything. Number one, you're going to choose one single skill to focus on for the next 12 months. In my own case, at the beginning of this year, when I decided that I wanted to improve as a filmmaker, I decided that I was going to learn how to color grade. So for the past 12 months, I have only focused time and effort into learning this one skill set. I didn't try to improve my cinematography. I didn't try to improve my audio engineering, my special effects, nothing. It was only color grading. And if you're trying to master a skill, you have to set apart a set amount of time to learn one single thing. Now, once you decide on the skill set that you want to learn, you then need to find a digital mentor. This is not going to be someone that you text back and forth with questions. Matter of factly, this person isn't even going to know that you exist. This is a person who is a master at this craft, who has preferably been practicing their profession for 5 years, preferably 10. This person is going to be well respected amongst peers in their industry. And when you watch their work, it should be apparent that they are a master in their own given way. Now, when you find this person on YouTube, you need to watch every single one of their videos from start to finish, and you need to take detailed notes on everything that they say. In my own case, I found a guy by the name of Colin Kelly, and he was my digital mentor. I decided to watch all of his videos from start to finish, and when I decided to learn color grading, he was my guy. And the reason you need to listen to only one person is because when you go all in with this digital mentor, you're going to learn their philosophy of the craft. And over the course of studying everything that they've put out, you're going to learn a framework of how to practice this given skill. And when you understand a framework, you're able to make progress much faster at the given thing you're trying to learn. So when you find a digital mentor, you're going to go all in with this one person. You're going to completely ignore anyone else that might make content on the given subject. Find a guy who is an expert at the field and only listen to them. Watch their videos. If they have a course, buy the course. If they have a product, buy the product. Go all in with your one person. Number three, once you start to learn from this individual, you need to break up the skill set into micro components. What do I mean by that? Whenever I was learning color grading, which is a very big subject, I broke it down into its individual parts. So first I started learning how to set proper exposure. Next, I learned about contrast. After that, I learned about cinematic saturation. After that, I learned about look development. Then I learned about color management. I broke the skill into its individual parts. And after a few months, lo and behold, I have learned, to a certain extent, color grading. So when you're learning your skill, you need to break it into as many micro components as you possibly can. And when you do that, you're going to, in a few months' time, have a decent understanding of the thing that you're trying to learn. And once you have a decent understanding, that leads into the next step. You need to have a high frequency, low pressure environment in which you practice. Now, I'm lucky enough to live with Andrew, and we record all day, every day, so I have a high frequency of practice. I can practice all day long because we record so much footage. And it's relatively low pressure because if I mess up, it's not that big of a deal because we can just try again tomorrow. So if you're not as fortunate as I am to be in a situation where I can practice my craft every day, you need to find a way to practice the thing you're trying to learn every single day. That is key, high frequency practice. And once you start getting reps under your belt, the next thing that you need to do is what we talked about before. You need to analyze your work. So for me, that's easy because I can just watch the videos that I make. I can analyze what I did right, what I did wrong. But if you're a performer, if you build things, if you do something outside of what I do, perhaps you need to record yourself so you can analyze your movements. Whatever that looks like for you, you need to set aside time to analyze your work so that you can see what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And that leads into the next point. Once you're able to analyze yourself, you can see what you can improve, and you need to aim to make 1% improvements in as many components of the craft as possible. So for myself, like I said earlier, I learned contrast, but next I wanted to learn how to add that cinematic fade so that my footage just had that extra pop. So then I dedicated time and effort to learning how to create proper fades. After that, I wanted to learn more about cinematic saturation. There's ways to make your image saturated, but there's also ways to make it more dense. This is getting complicated, but you get what I'm saying. You need to aim at making these 1% improvements in as many components as possible, because in a year's time, that is going to set your work so much further apart than when you first began learning your skill. So start trying to make 1% improvements in as many of these components as you can. Inevitably, that's going to lead to a plateau though. You can only improve for so long. So the process of mastery, it's not linear. You're going to make improvements and then you're going to plateau. You're going to make improvements and then you're going to plateau. Plateaus are a part of the game. It is what it is. I hit one a few months back. I'm watching my videos and it just hits me. Like I'm sitting there watching and I'm thinking, do I even know what I'm doing? This looks horrible. I should be better than this. Like, I know what I'm doing, I think. Or do I really? Like, I was doubting myself. But that's just a part of the process. It's a plateau. What you do to push past these plateaus is you go back to the very beginning of the process, okay? You're going to go back, you're going to watch your digital mentor, you're going to go through their content again, you're going to go through your notes, and things are going to slowly click. You just start the process over again, and before too long, you're going to burst through that plateau, and you're going to be on the up again until you inevitably hit another plateau. But that's a part of the game. It's a process. It is not a linear path. You're going to hit plateaus. That's a part of the game. And that leads to the final point of mastery. This process that I've described so far will eventually become a habit, and it eventually just becomes who you are. You are a practicer. That's not really a word, but we're going to run with it. You're a practicer. You analyze yourself, you practice, you strive for improvements that will eventually become a characteristic that defines who you are as an individual. It is a habit, and you need to adopt that mindset that my work is never good enough. I need to constantly be striving for improvements. I need to constantly be striving for continued education. And when you adopt that mindset, mastery then becomes inevitable at that point. So this is the process to mastery. You need to set aside minimum 1 year. You're not going to master your given field in a year. Don't get confused. Mastery takes time. But if you're trying to learn something new, a year is a good amount of time to become highly proficient at something. You can get paid for your work after a year's time because you're going to be better than most people because you put in the work. So after watching this video, you now know the mindset behind becoming a master of your given field, and you know the actual process to achieving mastery. And if you apply these things to your own life, you will be able to set yourself apart from the crowd, like we talked about earlier. So that's everything that I wanted to say in this video. I hope you learned something. I hope it inspired you a little bit. And I appreciate you taking the time to watch it. So guys, thank you again, and I'll see you in the next one.